Calling Jujutsu Kaisen complicated for a shonen might be an understatement you'll hear often, because every passing chapter, the most common response you'll hear is,
I'm confused right now, G.
do you understand Jujutsu Kaisen's curse techniques?
No.
Like Akari's, Gojo's, Jujutsu Kaisen's politics?
Nobody gives a shit.
Kenjaku's plan?
I'm confused.
Okay, well, unlike the toxic fans that might call you
Fucking biblical.
things are different in our community, so be a Chad and hit the notification bell. And I've taken gamer subs to help me activate my brain to break this down. You can buy some yourselves from the description. Kenjaku's politics has shaped up the final saga of the manga and the fate of Satoru Gojo. He has set up his own massive game of chess with all the pawns in his hands and is now simply waiting for all the schemes to unfold that are affecting everyone in the Jujutsu world. It's time to go balls deep into the new secrets of Kenjaku's huge plan that's in motion. All hopes of radical opposition against Kenjaku have been erased by him. Personally, he is way too powerful, not only in curse techniques but also politically, because he has planned for 1,000 years ahead of everyone else, and nobody can think of how every action is being played into his setup. In fact, he has most of the Jujutsu society in his grasp at this point. There is legit zero recluse for Itadori and the others. If there is one thing that Kenjaku has as his biggest advantage, it is the overwhelming lack of unity in the Jujutsu sorcery world. The society is divided into conservatives and non-conservatives who have completely different perspectives on everything from Jujutsu itself to crisis management. And the root of these factions is the presence of the three famous Jujutsu clans, Gojo, Kamo, and Zenin. Throughout the history of Jujutsu sorcery, these clans have tried to sabotage each other to earn more power and influence. For example, the clash to death between the Gojo and Zenin family heads that Satoru told Megumi about in chapter 117. But these clans don't just stop there. Be it Maki Zenin or Norotoshi, the younger generation is just a representation of the years of anguish prestigious clans have laid upon their own members, their own family, which goes as far as even murder. The members of these clans aren't seen as humans if they don't wield enough power and can be discarded within a blink.
Talking about America, I don't know, maybe Russia?
Good point, Harrison. Jujutsu Kaisen's politics shares a lot of parallels to real life, where it's literally kill or be killed, as Maki Zenin's story showed us in the Zenin clan arc. Funnily, or sadly, however you perceive it, the clans and their ways haven't changed even after learning some harsh lessons. History repeated itself, as Maki's outburst is just a culmination of the harsh action of the Zenin clan that Toji also experienced earlier. He was also frowned upon and shunned because of his heavenly restriction. The only reason he calmed down was having Megumi's mother, and when she died, Toji went rogue again, but Maki couldn't take it anymore. It was the Zenin clan's rotten ways that had created two monsters who turned on them at the end and finished them off. Such a desperate struggle regarding power only gives birth to widespread corruption, as evident from Gojo's statements in the early chapters. While we still don't have enough information about the Gojo clan, one of the two major clans was totally wiped out by Maki in her moment of rage. Kenjaku hearing about the Zenin clan massacre would be music to his ears, and as sick as that sounds, it truly benefited his plans to revive Sukuna and bring back the golden age of sorcery, which will help him take over the entire world. Why, you may ask? Well, his testimony in Jujutsu Kaisen Chapter 191 revealed that the Kamo clan is definitely one of the biggest influences of the conservatives, and with only one clan left, he knew what to do. Most of the conservatives belonged to the Kamo clan, making it the ideal target for Kenjaku, who had already put measures in place by taking over old Noritoshi Kamo's body in the past. This was a master move because the conservatives in general are also extremely prone to corruption. When it was revealed that the culprit is from the Kamo clan, even if he's dead, most of the conservatives would still follow Kenjaku in Suguru Geto's body. It was a simple equation because they just decided to side with the party who would win, which would maintain their power and influence. Kenjaku, being the head of the Kamo clan, also makes sure that there's effectively only one leader, one dictator in the Jujutsu world left, because Satoru freaking Gojo has been sealed away. And from the lack of appearance of any Gojo clan member until now, we have no clue about their state of affairs. For all we know, there could have been people like the Zenin clan men who were actually rooting for Gojo to be taken out, just so they could take over the political void left by him. Satoru Gojo's power and influence stopped their corrupt steps from moving forward, but with him sealed away, it quite literally closed his doors. In contrast, the door has opened for them. Such people who harbor ill intentions towards Gojo are a serious threat in the current fragile and unbalanced situation. And we know Gojo has definitely collected a bunch of haters in his lifetime. He can't expect someone from Jujutsu society to lend a hand in unsealing him. Well, I mean, the only ones who are willing to take on such a dangerous mission, despite the threats looming over their heads, is the new generation of sorcerers that Gojo taught. This was the one of many reasons Gojo decided to rely on them as his contingency plan, because rather than having corrupt motivations, they would see the bigger picture of things and aid each other in desperate times. This is further proved by how in the end of the Shibuya incident, be it Tokyo or Kyoto students, they were all on one side, fighting the same enemies. Unlike what Gokuganji had said, Itadori wasn't the real enemy to be dealt with, it was Kenjaku. But Gojo isn't the only one with clan problems, because the Kamo clan is also in how do I say it? It's a shambles. Noritoshi Jr. from the Kyoto school realized that most of the Jujutsu higher-ups would have become Kenjaku's puppets already, but he still had hope because not all of them had fallen into Kenjaku's hands and were actually divided. He concluded this through two facts post the Shibuya incident. A, there was an order to execute Suguru Geto, aka Kenjaku, that could have only been issued by people rejecting to side with him. And B, the same people also named Yuta Akatsu as the executioner for Itadori, who was a key player in Kenjaku's plans because, well, obviously, Sukuna. Thus, Noritoshi Jr. made his way to his clan in the hopes of getting in touch with the Gojo and Zenin clans, but most importantly, Gokuganji, the principal of the Kyoto school. Gokuganji, as we already know from the multiple times Gojo annoyed him, is a member of the conservatives with considerable influence. He would hear Noritoshi Jr. out and coordinate a counterplan. So the first step was to withdraw the order number 2 that had been passed after the Shibuya incident. This order stated that Satoru Gojo has been deemed an accomplice in the Shibuya incident and is thus permanently exiled from the Jujutsu world. Furthermore, removing his seal on the prison realm would be considered a criminal act. As much as Gokuganji would hate it, Gojo could be an indisposable asset in the counterplan against Kenjaku. Moreover, this order would brand anyone including Noritoshi Jr. as a criminal for any action that would be seen as an attempt to unseal Gojo. The order is largely vague and can be interpreted in any way possible. The longer this order would remain, the harder it would be to unseal Gojo and initiate any solution. As Kenjaku says, Noritoshi Jr. had thought plenty ahead despite only being a student. However, sadly, he could only go this far because Kenjaku already eliminated any threats to his plans with his three-pronged strategy. Number 1, he assumed the seat of the 25th head of the Kamo clan by either making the others his puppets or using some sort of brain manipulation like we saw with Shino, another Kamo clan member who failed to recognize Noritoshi Jr. because his mind was wandering in the past events 150 years ago. Number 2, he killed all the people who had issued the execution of Itadori through Yuta Akatsu's hands, effectively ending the binding vow and putting the order for his execution to rest. He needs Itadori for Sukuna's revival. And number 3, Kenjaku also killed all the people who ordered Geto Suguru to be executed, making him as much of a wanted criminal as your average Joe. So now he's free. Kenjaku destroyed Noritoshi's plan within seconds and didn't even feel threatened or waste his energy to kill him because the pretty room would get dirty. Now that's some next level of superiority complex or bossman moves, you know what I'm saying? Kenjaku had seen through Noritoshi Jr.'s bag of tricks beforehand and crushed every hope he had started by taking over the Jujutsu headquarters itself, creating puppets within the people in power. This is such a formidable strategy with absolutely no way out because everything is under his control. Ironically, Kenjaku is using the exact societal maladies to his advantage that Gojo has dreamt of eradicating all this time, which makes him the polar opposite in ideals, just like Sukuna. It just goes to show how far he had been thinking, and his dream was more rational than one would think. But the repercussions of having such a terrible and fragmented state is becoming more and more visible. This is exactly why Satoru Gojo was the biggest hindrance in Kenjaku's plan, and why sealing him was the core of his successful schemes. Gojo is the strongest sorcerer, but what made him the most dangerous to Kenjaku wasn't the dreaded 6 eyes, it was also his mentality. Satoru Gojo was trying to fix the crevices, and he could do that with his power and the new generation he was fostering. He was the sole member of the Gojo clan that outshone everyone else, but it's also true that he is the pillar of Jujutsu sorcery and its society. He alone took on 4 monumental strong special grade curse spirits in the Shibuya incident, and it was because of him that curse users were pushed into the shadows. It made sense that his influence was tremendous. Had he not been sealed, there's no way even the conservatives would have changed their standing politically without thinking twice because they feared Gojo and his power. So Kenjaku arrived at the most optimal scenario that would not just take out Gojo in the easiest way, but also label him and his allies as criminals. He used the cursed spirits who were naive enough to trust a sorcerer, forgetting their own principles as curses, as Mahito, Hanami, Jogo. They were all used like pawns. Their end result was all the same: death by sorcerer. They were all fodder characters from Kenjaku's point of view and were meant to die by his hand had they not already by others. In fact, the Shibuya incident after Satoru Gojo's sealing was a child's play to Kenjaku because Gojo alone was the dangerous element who could make or break the plan, and for the perfect garnish, he used the body of his dead best friend to seal Gojo, something that rattled everyone. Gojo was the one to deal the final blow to Geto at the end of Jujutsu Kaisen 0, but his role in the Shibuya incident indicated that Gojo had either failed or become an accomplice. Their history together was no help in proving Geto's innocence either, and was just the accusation needed to make Gojo seem like a perpetrator. Geto and Gojo's involvement also directly correlated to Principal Yaga's influence because he hadn't just taught them but also directly commanded Gojo. Thus, he was also named as an accomplice of the crime and died for it. Kenjaku used the blindsided view of the Jujutsu higher-ups to issue orders that favored him and killed them when they didn't side with him. Basically China, everyone. Why do you think Kenjaku went to visit them, right? So whilst the rest of the Jujutsu Society rushed to do the dirty work like killing Principal Yaga or even each other, Kenjaku easily controlled everything else. He meticulously whittled the strength of the Jujutsu Society by a very exponential margin with a single action, which is nothing but sealing Satoru Gojo. We can definitely see that whilst it's true that Gojo's birth shifted the balance in the Jujutsu Society, so did his sealing. And of course, in a very unfortunate manner for Itadori and the others, currently they have no option but to play along with the Culling Game and its rules set by Kenjaku in his vile plan to revive Sukuna, taking over the world and bringing back the golden age of sorcery. In fact, even doing so is probably helping out his plan in the grand scheme of things, as Reggie told Megumi. Judging from his recent activities, there is surely another layer to the plan for the Culling Game that just doesn't end with pitching people against each other. Kenjaku was seen proposing something to Chinese authorities, and it couldn't have been good news. It is further proved by his statements in chapter 136, where he admitted that he wants to bring forth uncontrollable chaos in the world. We all know the world equates to Japan in anime, and quite literally in Jujutsu Kaisen, since the manga confirmed a majority of cursed spirits and energy is in Japan. But Kenjaku, he wants to take over the globe. So guys, since Gojo was so important to be sealed and it took 1000 years to figure out how, you should watch our video explaining how powerful he is, as this will put it into perspective. Thank you.